A 3-wicket win for England. Only just, I suppose. Brilliant performance. What did we learn from this win?
Well, I suppose we were reminded that Jos Buttler's a dangerous player, and we were reminded that Chris Woakes is a very good all-rounder. I mean, he's obviously they've both been in quite poor form with the bat, though Jos has now had 3 good innings in a row, and he may well have saved his career. Chris Woakes, I mean, I honestly think in another era he would be a household name. But it's his ill fortune, maybe it's his fortune, to be playing at the same time as one of England's greatest ever swing bowlers, if not 2 of them, and in the shadow of Ben Stokes. And because of that, he is always slightly overlooked, but he's a terrific cricketer. So I thought that there were a couple of times in this game that England were dead and buried. You cannot concede a first innings lead of 107 on a pitch that's going to deteriorate. And then they fell to 117 for 5, something like that. So they've done incredibly well. They probably exposed some weaknesses in the Pakistan team, leadership, makeup. But they played really well and they deserve a lot of credit. And maybe the pitch didn't deteriorate. I guess we're on the 4th afternoon, aren't we, instead of the 5th. Maybe it didn't deteriorate quite as much as we thought. But they played really well. They deserve the credit.
Oz, let's go to you for this one. Before we start talking about Pakistan, because I know we'll delve very much into that. But, George mentioned a name, Chris Woakes, that we constantly do get reminded that we don't hype him up enough. And he is such a quality person. We saw it with the bat today. We already have known it with the ball. So just what impressed you the most about just this performance that he put together this entire test?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a really good player, especially in England, and he's got a good record against Pakistan. Actually, if these things matter, he was dominant in that 2016 series against Pakistan. And I think, George, if I'm not mistaken, I think he missed the 2018 series, or he missed a test in that series when they played the 2 test series. I think he was missing. So he's always had a good record against Pakistan. And I think what impressed me most, really, you'd expect Jos Buttler to play the kind of innings that he did. I didn't expect Woakes to be quite as aggressive and just as on the front foot as he was throughout the innings. He came in, picked up from what Jos was doing, and just went. And some of the timing of his shots was just outstanding. He was playing. He has been a good batsman. He was in really bad form, but I think it's one of those partnerships where I think ultimately Pakistan will look back many years from now, maybe not right now, but they'll look back and think that was actually just a really, really special partnership that took England home.
And Oz, now just to look back on Pakistan, because I mean, looking of course at the brilliant innings from Shan Masood, you would think that would have to be on the team that actually ended up winning the match. Unfortunately, it wasn't. We saw some absolutely stunning bowling as well, where George says you can't even blame the England batsmen because there's no way that they could have played some of those deliveries. So where did Pakistan let themselves down the most in this?
So questions will be asked of Azhar Ali and his captaincy today, and rightly, and I'll come to that in a second. But I think essentially they lost the game yesterday. If you go in and you're batting with a 109-run lead, 109 I think it was ultimately the lead, 109, and you only end up adding another 168 odd to it. 270 is still a gettable target. 370 is not. That's essentially, and that's where they lost it. They had Abid Ali shot. Second ball or third ball, I think he was facing Dom Best, top edged it. Shan Masood was a little unlucky, getting strangled on the leg side. There was a run out. They just played that innings like they have done many times over the last few years. Once they get themselves in a position, in a good position, they rarely ever are ruthless with that. You never see Pakistan building on a 100-run lead with a 300 for 5 declared in the second innings. That's just not their way to do it. But you would expect there to be some kind of middle ground between that and what they eventually came out with. And there isn't. And so, when you leave a target of 270, you're allowing for one special partnership and a couple of good innings to really break down into that. But if you leave them a target of 370, you're kind of buffering against something like that. So I think it's the batting in the second innings that lost it. There was some pretty ordinary cricket played. And, guys like Azhar Ali, his batting, and Asad Shafiq, we've been asking these questions, they've been asked these questions for a while now, since Misbah-ul-Yunus retired, and they've been pretty awful consistently. And then, down to the leadership today, Azhar, I think, he missed a lot of tricks, and that fear has always been there in Pakistani fans. They've always worried about the kind of captain that he is. And I think it kind of came through today in just many of the little moves that he made. Just as one example, opening the last session with Shadab Khan. Do you want Shadab Khan? I mean, he's there. He's a good bowler, but do you really want him to be opening a vital session for you on the last day of a Test match? The match was lost by then, but just at the end there, when Chris Woakes edged through slips, the match was gone. But why not have a third slip at that point? You have 2 slips in a gully, and you're saving what runs? So little things like that. He's done that throughout this kind of last day, not bowling the right bowlers, I think, at the right time, and he was just a bit reactive. And he's been like that. That's been the worry about him. So, now with no runs in this Test match for him, and then this kind of captaincy, he's going to be under a hell of a lot of pressure. Maybe not for the store. I can't see Misbah being the guy who dumps him from the store. But, once the store is over, with the run of form that he's had, I don't think I can see him being Test captain for very long for Pakistan.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.